Am I the asshole for refusing to let my parents move in with me after they lost their house?
I, 33F, have been living in my own home for a few years. I bought it with my own money and have worked hard to make it a comfortable and safe place after growing up in a very unstable environment. My parents, 60s, have always been terrible with money, constantly making poor financial decisions despite my efforts to help them budget.
Recently, they lost their house due to foreclosure.
They reached out to me asking if they could move in temporarily while they get back on their feet. But 2 additional adults would really stretch the limits of my house, and I value my privacy and independence.
More importantly, my parents have a history of being overbearing and disrespecting my boundaries.
The last time my parents stayed with me, they criticized everything about my lifestyle, rearranged furniture without asking, and even got into an argument with one of my neighbors.
I offered to help them find an affordable rental and even offered to pay their first month of rent. I also found government assistance programs they can apply for.
They refused, saying that families should stick together and that it was my duty to help them in their time of need.
My siblings are divided. My older brother thinks I'm heartless, while my younger sister understands my concerns.
Both of them live in smaller apartments, so they do not have the option to host my parents. My parents have been guilt-tripping me, saying they took care of me growing up, and now it's my turn to take care of them. My parents are now telling extended family that I'm abandoning them, and I am getting messages from relatives.
It's making me second-guess my decision, even though I know my mental health would suffer if they moved in. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my parents move in with me after they lost their house? Should I be more willing to accommodate them, or am I right to stick by my own well-being and boundaries? I'm feeling very conflicted and could use some outside perspective. Not the asshole. Once your parents move into your house, they'll never leave. My parents have been guilt-tripping me, saying they took care of me growing up, and now it's my turn to take care of them. They have a plan and there will always be a plausible reason why they can't move out, yet. They're not going to stay with you until they get back on their feet. You're their retirement plan. Not the asshole. For your own sake, mental health and well-being, do not let them move in. They have turned to guilting you, so you'll forget all about their past behaviors and hopefully be convinced that family does come first. I'm calling BS. They can contact the government assistance program, friends, and even a homeless shelter. Just because they're family doesn't mean they can abuse your kindness and disrespect your boundaries. Hold fast and stick to your guns. Not the asshole. You don't want them to move in, so you offered another way of helping through financial means, etc. You are helping your family in need. They turned it down. If the siblings and extended family are all up your ass, then they're more than welcome to deal with it. You have the right to say no. Stick by your guns, offer the help again, but say that's the only card on the table and they can either take it or leave it. It's their decision. Not the asshole. They had a legal obligation to provide for you growing up. It doesn't mean that you owe them. You've offered other avenues of assistance. If they move in, they will probably not move out. Not the asshole. My parents have a history of being overbearing and disrespecting my boundaries. Good reason not to let them move in. Family should stick together and that it was my duty to help them in their time of need. Your first duty is to ensure you are okay. It's their poor decision-making that brought them to where they are. You offered to help within your boundaries and they refused. I'm getting messages from relatives. They can help and stop harassing you then. It's making me second-guess my decision. Please don't. You're doing the right thing for you. Stand your ground. Not the asshole. If you let them move in, you can bet they will never move out. Am I the asshole for being ungrateful about gold earrings when I only wear silver? Recently, I, 21F, had my birthday and my boyfriend, 21M, of 3 years, took me out to dinner. After we had our meal, he told me he had gotten a gift for me. Now usually, when he gets me gifts, it's never been too fancy. E.g., last year he got me a pair of shoes I've been wanting and some flowers. We're both only in our early 20s and in college, so neither of us have a lot of money, so I never expected too much in terms of gifts. So when I saw the box of a company I would never even dare to look at, I was extremely excited. But when he opened the box, I saw a pair of gold earrings and my smile shrunk. I asked him why you would get me something gold if I only wear silver. He apologized, but I was still a bit annoyed. And I realized he started becoming more frustrated on our way to his car. I could tell my reaction was bugging him, and eventually he dropped me off at my apartment without coming inside and didn't even let me take the gift.
I didn't want my night ruined, so I had some of my girls over, and so I wasn't really on my phone.
The morning after my birthday, I realized he had called me twice and sent me a message.
To paraphrase, he basically said that he didn't realize it would be such a big deal, and he never pays attention to my jewelry because he finds me beautiful with or without it, and guys just generally don't care about jewelry.
I'm pretty torn now because I think I may have overreacted and seemed ungrateful. On the other hand, we've been dating for over 3 years and he doesn't even know what jewelry I like. You are the asshole.
You could have gratefully taken it in the spirit it was intended, then later on, maybe in a couple of days, politely said that you tried them on but maybe they don't suit you and you hope he wouldn't be offended if you could go and change them if he had the receipt. And that just in general, if he wanted to buy you jewelry, you think that generally silver looks better on you? See how that is slightly different from effectively throwing his gift back in his fact the moment you received it?
Not the asshole. I don't think you are upset just cause the earrings are gold.
You are upset that after 3 years, he didn't know you enough or take the time to pay attention enough to buy you a gift. One he took the time to spend a fair amount on. That reflects the thoughtfulness and attention to who you are. It could have been a book or flowers or a gift card, but if it was a book you've already read and talked about, flowers you said you were allergic to, or a gift card to a store you never go to, it's not really a thoughtful gift at all.
If this is a one-off, talk to him about it and how it made you feel after 3 years.
If this is a pattern of, guys just don't think about this stuff, as if that means you should accept less from men as partners. Not the asshole he showed that he doesn't pay attention to you, didn't consider what you wanted or what you would like. I hate when people say just because something was expensive you should be grateful.
Should I buy my husband Taylor Swift tickets for his birthday? Sure, he hates large crowds and her music, but they are expensive tickets. It's not about the cost, it's about the fact he didn't pay attention to you. You're the asshole. There are tactful ways to let him know in the future that you prefer silver over gold, and you just acted like an AH. Maybe he thinks you can't afford gold, and that's why you wear silver. Maybe he just doesn't pay close attention to stuff like that. Regardless, you should just graciously accept a gift given in good spirit. Not the asshole. After 3 years, he should have known that you never wear gold. Why give you an expensive gift if you haven't even bothered to look at all the existing jewelry you have to see what might suit you? Having a birthday with a nice gift only to discover that in the end he didn't make the effort to know what you like, look at what you wear every day, and give you something very expensive without even checking is disappointing. I understand the reaction. You did not overreact. He could have directly offered to trade it or something like that instead of becoming frustrated. You are the asshole, and I say this as a girl who now only wears gold. When someone gives you a gift, especially one as nice as the one your boyfriend gave you, the first thing you should be saying is thank you. You could have accepted the gift and been grateful for it, then sat him down later and said something like, I love the gift, and it was incredibly thoughtful. I do have a preference for silver medals over gold. Would it be okay if we exchanged this? Additionally, if you wear enough jewelry to only prefer one metal, how has it never come up in a discussion before? Am I the asshole for suggesting we name our baby after my ex-dead friend? My husband, 30M, and I, 28F, are pregnant and thinking of baby names for our son due later this year. We've got a good list of names we love, but we're still undecided. The other night I was up late with a bout of insomnia, thinking about when our baby is going to be a kid and what he'll be like, and I remembered my childhood best friend, Lucas. We were best friends from 5 until 15, when he passed away. About a month before he died, we started dating, as in we held hands in the hall at school and kissed a handful of times. My husband knows about him as I have fond memories with him and he's in a lot of my childhood photos. He has never shown any disdain to me talking about Lucas. I also do not harbor any leftover romantic feelings for Lucas. I loved him, but we were not in love, just kids doing what kids do. He was my best friend and I miss him, but he is dead. Lucas is a pretty timeless name with multiple variations, as well as a way to honor my childhood best friend, especially since he doesn't have any siblings who could name their children after him. Plus, a lot of my and my husband's first name ideas have multiple syllables, so I thought a short middle name like Luke would help balance it out.
I suggested it and my husband hit the roof.
He said me wanting to name our baby after an ex-boyfriend was gross and insulting to him as the father. He said if the baby should be named after anyone, it should be him. I told him I wasn't trying to be insulting and it was just an idea, not a name I was set on, and him vetoing it was completely fine. I also said it wasn't naming our baby after an ex, but an old friend. He's still angry, though, and is demanding I apologize for disrespecting him as the father. I refused to apologize because the suggestion wasn't a way to disrespect him. It had nothing to do with him at all, it was just a way to pay homage to my friend. He said he's not interested in brainstorming ideas anymore and has been giving me the cold shoulder ever since. Am I the asshole? ETA. I will be apologizing to my husband. A lot of people pointed out that whether I meant to offend him or not, his feelings were hurt and I do want to try and remedy that. I'm also going to try and have a conversation about how he feels about Lucas moving forward. I now see a lot of people are getting caught by the ex part, as my husband is. I assumed it was clear that I do not still have feelings for Lucas. I do not wish I was having a baby with him instead. He was not a childhood crush. As an adult, I know that we were pairing off because that's what everyone else our age was doing and he was my very best friend, so why not? When he died, I mourned the death of a friend, not an ex-lover. I am also not trying to force this name on our baby. It was merely a suggestion because I thought it was sweet and it fit what we were looking for in names. If my husband says no, it's a no. I don't know why people thought I would do otherwise. No judgment. When naming a baby, it's best to agree to keep all the names of exes, even the innocuous ones, off the table because inevitably it leads to an argument. My husband wanted to name our son Jeffrey. I reminded him I had 2 exes named Jeff and they were both jagweeds. He'd forgotten and started to laugh and we picked another name. YTA, how do people not know that naming your baby after any of your exes no matter the duration of the relationship is just a terrible idea? It's setting up for the baby daddy to think you would prefer that man to be the dad. It may be an irrational thought from your perspective, but how would you feel if he wanted to name your daughter after his ex? I'm not trying to be harsh, I just don't think you thought this through. Nah. Now you know this whole time you've ever mentioned Lucas. He didn't care because he's dead, but he absolutely saw him more as a boyfriend than a long-standing friend. You were viewing it as, my friend Lucas who I grew up with and loved so much, and less about the dating part. His reaction was over the top. Also really weird to be this upset about a childhood friend that is dead. Like he's not competition. It's not like it was the one that got away and you settled for your husband. Geez. Yeah, I wouldn't name the baby after a dead ex-boyfriend, weird choice. Perhaps give him his own name. Come on, you knew this wasn't going to be okay with him, or anyone really. Nobody wants their baby to be named after their partner's ex. Doesn't matter if you were 15, an ex is an ex to your partner. You are the asshole for suggesting this. The comments are insane. Guy you actually loved. What? Am I the asshole for my reaction to a coworker's homeopathic advice? I, F30, was running this weekend, tripped, lost a fight with this gnarly board that was laying on the sidewalk and sliced up my leg pretty good. Real smooth, I know. I went to the and they taped me up, gave me a tetanus shot and some antibiotics. Today, my coworker noticed my bandaged leg and asked what happened. I told her the story. Side note, I am always polite to this coworker, and she doesn't know I don't like her, but we have very different politics and views on things. I'm always cordial though. Anyways, coworker was horrified to hear I was taking antibiotics, and started throwing out all these alternative treatments. I think she said oregano? My brain spoke without my filter activating and I was like, oh yeah, and when I get the plague next I'll use bacon lard. She was really offended. Said she was just trying to help me and that antibiotics were poison. Hasn't spoken a word to me since. I'm on my lunch break now. My wife says I'm in the right. She actually thinks it's hilarious and laughed at my debacle for a good minute or two. But my dad, I ask him for a lot of work advice, says I should really keep my mouth shut on these things, and that being rude could come back to bite me in the butt. Am I the asshole? Should I have just swallowed what she said and never mentioned it again? Not the asshole. Antibiotics were poison. Yes. Poison for unwanted bacteria. That is the whole point. Not the asshole. You did a unit of public health service. Right on. Antibiotic. Yes, they are poison.
To stuff that we want dead.
Not the asshole. Only advice you need to accept is from a doctor.
Mindsets like what your coworker has causes more harm than good. This one story that always sits with me was when a mom put a potato in her child's sock to help treat his sickness, resulting in the child unfortunately passing.
Basically, if the advice isn't coming from a licensed doctor, don't listen to it. Not the asshole.
She shouldn't be giving you unprompted medical advice at all, much less actively harmful medical advice. That being said, your dad isn't wrong that being rude, even when justified, could potentially bite you in the butt. I don't assume it's likely to be a problem in this situation though.
Over my 45 female life,
including 30 years as a type 1 diabetic, I have finally honed the ability to do what I call diplomatically telling people to get bent.
Should you be eating that? Aren't you too skinny, young to be diabetic? My 50-yo, overweight diabetic uncle. My chiropractor said.
Don't you know?
And my current pet peeve in advertising, which thankfully no one has suggested to my face. Fucking cinnamon supplements. Endrant. Anyway. Sorry.
I feel your pain. I just wanted you to know you're not alone.
If it does bite you in the butt, she probably has an ointment for that too. Not the asshole.